we go.
You
Welcome to the Out of Home Insider Show. Today's guest started Pearl Media on the precipice of the 2008 financial collapse because he saw a gaping hole between branding and engagement. He's successfully since bridged that gap through a combination of technology and people and a commitment to being big, bold, and iconic. Pearl Media doesn't just work with anyone, though, and their mantra to challenge the status quo is also one of their core business principles. Josh Cohen, welcome to the Out of Home Insider Show.
Thanks for having me. Hell of an introduction, if I may say. Thank you so much.
Man, I'm so glad that I was able to deliver it there on take two, of which most folks will never see take one, but that's all right. The small bit of editing that the show does undergo. Josh, you started Pearl Media in 2007. You had no idea what was going to happen in 2008. A lot of people are drawing correlations to what we're going through right now. Tell us a little bit about what it was like getting started and then ultimately facing 2008 and how you're using that now with Pearl.
Yeah, there are some correlations, but there are tremendous differences because behaviors in this crisis is much different than behavior was back then. Obviously in 2008, we had a financial crisis and a really big real estate crisis. And we kind of saw there was getting involved into the out-of-home business is usually it could be extremely capital intensive. And doing this pretty much on my own when I started, having the, capital was not a resource that we just had. I had a tremendous amount of. So introduced a medium where we would take vacant retail and use that as a platform to connect with consumers in major urban markets. And it served multiple purposes because we were providing a resource to a lot of landlords and real estate owners who, like now, are struggling because retail is empty. There's no commerce whatsoever going on. And we were providing a gap hole to, allow people to continue to keep lights on and pay rents and what have you. And, I've always loved out of home. In my previous life before out of home, I was in sports and media and dabbled a little bit in out of home. And I always loved the fact of being big, bold, as you mentioned. But the one thing about out of home back in 2008 that I thought was missing was a little bit more of the in-your-face consumer engagement. And what the storefront medium where we started allowed us to do is to take the billboard from the sky, bring it to the street level, and really connect with consumers on one-on-one, especially in major urban markets. Right? If you think about where out of home was in the mid-2000s, we were still, big boards up in the sky, and now that still exists. But the ability now to introduce technology and to bring it into the street level like we did allowed brands to not only get face-to-face with consumers, but also to be extremely targeted. And I learned lessons real early on about out-of-home that, number one, size doesn't always matter. Location is key. Creative is extremely important. And at that time, we had to be extremely creative and be extremely nimble. And the storefronts not only became a great branding platform, but became a great creative canvas and an opportunity for brands to introduce different technologies to connect with consumers. And you saw as the storefront business evolved, one of the first evolutions we did was, rear projection technology in a storefront window, which now seems like, a black and white tube TV. But back then it was revolutionary. I remember we did something for John Varvatos, so we literally just had a rear projection system in the window that was running over a 30-second spot surrounded by some static vinyl. And then we had these sound drivers behind the window that also produce sound. So when you're up there, you could really hear the commercial as well. And at the time, digital was literally just starting in out of home. And this became something that was looked as to be, cutting edge, cutting through the clutter. It got people to turn and look and became extremely engaging. And from there turned into, introducing different technologies and different engagements. And of course, we started getting into a lot more traditional out of home, but doing it, I think, a little bit different than others, and how we continued our growth path. But to answer the other part of your question is we're seeing advertisers' behaviors and conversations similar to what we had back in 2008, where, the conversation now is more about, the consumer and where they live, work, and play. Not so much, the way that we're seeing it is, and the way that we're envisioning it is that consumers are going to spend a tremendous amount of time in their, what we're calling their little radius bubble, right? If you live in a certain area of Manhattan, you're probably going to stay within that area of Manhattan. I live in New Jersey, we're not traveling too far. So I think brands can be extremely effective if they tailor their creative to that local customer and that local consumer. And that medium plays a huge role in being able to deliver that customer base to clients, especially on the local level, which I think, unfortunately and fortunately for us, is where I think this business is going to be for the next couple months.
What challenges do you see? Like, because I totally agree. I think that's clearly the opportunity is the whole hyper local thing that we're all talking about, but it's something that you've been talking about for a long time. How scalable or how efficient can it be for a brand to be able to buy lots of little small markets and get placement like that? Is it even feasible? Is it achievable at scale for an enterprise brand, or is it more?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, the storefront business, again, it's a right now. I mean, before the COVID thing, was probably 20% of our business, right? It's still a good business and a healthy business, but our focus has been on expanding into bigger opportunities, digital transit venues, which we'll get into. But just if we're talking specifically about that medium, it's very feasible. I mean, we've done work in the most random markets, and you'll be surprised. When we put a phone call into, I'm trying to think of, Biloxi, Mississippi, to a landlord, and we're saying, hey, we have a couple $1,000s for someone who wants to put some vinyl up on your window. They're like, when can we start, and how long can we keep this up? It's for them, it's tremendous, and helping out some of the smaller markets with great brands, it goes a long way. And I think that it actually makes, I would say at times it makes even a bigger impact. We have a dedicated real estate team that focuses just on that, so we can acquire locations pretty quickly. We don't keep an inventory of anything pretty much outside of the top 10, but if you want to be in in Indianapolis or something like that, we've been able and are successfully able to source locations probably in 48 to 72 hours.
So it sounds like it's important to work with somebody that's already familiar with doing it. It's not that it's hard to do. It's just somebody needs to know how to navigate those waters and get it done quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, there's been over the last 12, 13 years, there's been quite a few companies who've tried to enter into the space or were in this space. I would say
it sounds easy. It sounds easy. I call up the grocery store and say, hey, can I put some stuff in your window for a week?
Yeah. I'm telling you, there is a tremendous amount of back end and headaches that go through it, especially dealing in some of these major markets with some particular landlords, and getting access to the space, getting measurements, the right creative. Is there a tenant? Is there not a tenant? Securing those leases, making sure they hold, and then constantly making sure those leases are still available, the inventory is available. We have probably about 150 to 200 locations in our inventory at any one time, and making sure that we're staying in communication with those landlords is a process and something that we've become very good at. It's not a perfect process. It is a fluid medium, and I think one of the reason why we have been successful in that area of our business is that we have stressed, and we've learned a lot of lessons early on, but communication, not just on the landlord side, but to our clients or advertisers or agencies, understanding this medium, how to buy them, communicating to them, when stuff is available, when we can guarantee certain inventory, those sorts of stuff, and knowing that we need to have some flexibility on both sides.
One of your best, maybe known pieces of inventory is Chelsea Market, right? How do you see the long-term impacts of social distancing on a place like Chelsea Market or maybe some other areas? Do you think that it impacts long-term how we use space, or is there an opportunity there? What's your take?
Yeah, so I mean, and that's a great segue. Over the last 4 years, we've kind of built out what we call this urban venue business, where we work with major landlords in top tier markets in what we consider an urban market. It's a multi-use, multifaceted real estate development that usually has a nice office tenant base, has a great retail. There's usually some entertainment value as well. There's dining opportunities, and that's where the places like Chelsea Market. We also have, a great relationship with the folks at Brookfield and do stuff like at Brookfield Place and a lot of those other venues. And one of the reasons we wanted to get into those areas is number one is, we wanted to really focus on digital and being able to deliver a digital product, but we also wanted to be able to deliver audiences, and those places are able to really provide great information on those types of audiences and then deliver those audiences to relevant consumers. So if you look at a place like Chelsea Market, which is now owned by Google, the headquarters upstairs, so is YouTube. It's a very tech savvy building. It's a millennial. It does skew a little bit more female than male, very fashion forward, hip, trendy area in the meatpacking. And then they have great food options, right? The entire ground hall is a city block wide, city block long food hall where, we're getting, anywhere from 32 to 38,000 people a day walking through there. Now, how is that going to look post-COVID? I think it's going to obviously change, but there is still going to be a base in a neighborhood. There's still a place where people can get food. I know that these places are taking the proper measurements in order to protect consumers and provide them with the comfort. But I do think we're going to see change in numbers and change in how people use these facilities. And I would be lying to you if I said there wasn't some concern in our standpoint. But I do think that getting back to that whole neighborhood feel, people who work, live, and play in that area are still going to go to Chelsea Market to go to the meat guy or to go to the grocery guy to get their falafels, that sort of stuff. There's only so much home cooking that any of us can eat, right?
I'm tired of my own cooking.
It's unbelievable. I ventured to my office the other day, and I've been trying to get in a couple of days, and I literally walked down the street just because I wanted somebody else to give me food, right? I'm so sick of the options in my house. It's unbelievable. I mean, and trust me, my wife's Italian. She's a fairly decent cook. But it's enough already. And listen, we're all tired of it.
Hey, for good leftovers, we should do a leftover exchange, and got to vet out the cooking.
We can meet somewhere in the middle. But yes, I think that the behavior is going to change. Office is the way that people come are going to change. We're taking the listen. We can sit here and all get really depressed about the situation, and that being sequestered in your home is really challenging in an at-home market. And there's no doubt about it. Anyone who thinks otherwise is out of their mind. I think for us as an industry, we really need to focus on how we can supply the greatest metrics and data to our clients so they can understand when people are coming back, how they're coming back. And I think we need to use that this year to do it. This year for everybody is about getting through the year and surviving. And we have a great plan to do that. And I really do believe if we could set this date, May 21st of 2021, for you and I to talk, I do think that we will be very close back to normal. I honestly believe that. And I told my employees, I said, we are striving our goal is to get to May 1st of 2021. And I do believe that we will be back. We're seeing it happen a lot quicker than we thought. And unfortunately, living in the Northeast, I think New York is going to be one of the last ones, and for the right reasons. And for us all to do well, we need commerce, we need transit, we need people traveling, we need people commuting. And I do believe that's going to happen. Things are definitely going to change. Human behavior will change forever from this. And it's how we capitalize that. But we should really be focusing on metrics at this point and how we can all build in the right systems. And we've been spending a lot of time internally on developing the right systems, and we come out of this so that we can supply the right data to our customers on how people are using places like Chelsea Market, Brookfield Place, the Salesforce Transit Center in San Francisco, and some of the other things that are coming up.
Right. I'm just making a note here. Really, the world needs out of home to survive. Rick Robinson and I, that's a weird little tongue twister there. Rick Robinson and I were talking about a few weeks ago how we're going to have this moment where everyone is out of the home together, and out of home gives us the opportunity to celebrate that, welcome people back into the world. It's really going to be this collective experience, which is going to be, I think, pretty important and pretty powerful opportunity. So we need out of home to survive. It's great to hear that you have a leadership plan, and I'm making a note for 5/21/21. We're just going to put it on the calendar right now, right after this.
It actually has a nice ring to it, 5/21/21.
Kind of does. It kind of does. Maybe it'll be some sort of epic summit, and we could do this as like a fireside chat.
That'd be great.
That would be cool.
We'll do it. We'll sit in the middle of Midtown Manhattan and do it.
That's right. And we'll talk about what was once and
Right.
And what is now. So I'm in. Let's do it.
I like it.
You've been talking about measurement since before anyone was talking about measurement. You've been doing a lot of technology before out of home really even started to embrace technology. Talk to me about how you measure out of home. Talk to me about the evolution from tracking eyeballs and being able to classify, whether it was male or female that saw a piece of advertising. How did you start out measuring out of home, and where is it today?
Yeah. So we did one of the very early campaigns. We did something for with Horizon Media, who have been great partners of us and always want to kind of think a little bit out of the box. If you're probably familiar with the technology Qvity, who was a French company, and they were just starting out as well. And I started reading about this facial recognition technology and how it can work. So we did a program with them and AMC Networks to promote a show called The Andromeda Strain, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And again, it was a vacant storefront with a vinyl with a rear projection system that was playing the trailer for the show. And we had a camera in there that was able to measure the people who would come by, how long they would stare, how many people walked by, and we were able to get real measurements. And we actually took our clients behind the scenes in the storefront so they could actually see the computer in real time. Well, people would come up and you'd see the boxes around their head and it would say male, female, and guessing people, and getting close to people's ages. And we thought that was really important then, and it's still very important now. And obviously technology has evolved. I think, for us, I don't think the out-of-home industry needs to overthink it too much. We're always about, constantly measuring and this and that. And I think we're doing that because there are so many different technologies out there to acquire measurements and data. And I think Geopath is doing a really nice job of trying to really centralize us as an industry so that we can all speak the same language. Because I think for way too long, there's been way too many companies in our industry with their own data systems, their own data sets, speaking their own languages. And while it's great information, it doesn't transcend against all the other media vendors in our business. And I think that what Geopath has put together and some of the things they're doing, I said on a webinar they had yesterday, learning a little bit about how they're introducing real-time metrics post-COVID so that we can supply real data, which I think is really important. And us all speaking that same language, we also believe some sort of mobile overlay is important as well. Mostly every person now has some sort of smartphone. And for us to really understand the way people are using our facilities or moving around and shopping, it not only supplies great information for our clients, but our realtor partners, which is something that we really focus on, is how much value, right? Because for a company like us in Pearl Media, if we're constantly competing at the highest levels with, companies that are, 100 times bigger than we are. And we constantly need to figure out different ways that we can provide value to those real estate partners so that we can, at the end of the day, embed ourselves in their business and create long-lasting partnerships with great real estate companies. And we've been successful doing that. Folks like Brookfield and Jamestown and Madison International and those types of groups.
Right, because it's not like Facebook. right? And Facebook owns the news feed and they own their own inventory. You've got to manage all sorts of different personalities and legal challenges and restrictions and different. I'm sure that the plethora of variables is significant to
Right.
managing a portfolio of inventory.
No, it is. I mean, currently we're managing over 400 screens across the country. Everything from transit centers to those urban venues that I spoke about to kind of one-offs, and every landlord that we deal with has different goals and objectives, right? And it's understanding what those are and then catering our services to meet those. And I think we've done a pretty good job doing that. One of the things that we started offering up as a service is literally helping them understand technology. We are technology agnostic, right? We're not sitting here recommending certain types of screens or certain vendors. What we really care about and what we preach to our partners is, we sell a high-end product, right? We deal with national brands, national clients. I think we've built up a pretty nice name of having good inventory, and the stuff that you buy from Pearl Media is going to look well and show well. And I'm a big believer, yes, getting my guys, perception is reality. And they've heard me say that probably 1,000 times in the last 13 years. And they're probably laughing now when they see this, that I said that, but it's the truth. And it's something that we stick by. And being able to work with these real estate partners who not only do they not have the time to really dive in and understand what's the best technology, is that they just don't have the understanding, and they're being inundated by every single different media vendor. So we come in and we provide a service when we go and we do a place like a Chelsea Market or a Brookfield Place, and we'll take all that heavy lifting off them. Our operations department, some pretty smart people who understand the right technology in the right places. We'll handle all the networking or bring in the right partner to do that. And then we'll manage the entire digital platform for them on a daily basis. Everything from our content to their content, if a screen goes out, servicing, maintenance, all that sort of stuff. And it's something that it's a service that they obviously enjoy. It provides us with an opportunity, again, to embed them into their business and understand their goals and objectives better. And then it also helps us ensure that what we're delivering to our clients and our advertisers always looks great, is working properly. And if there are any issues, we know immediately, and we can report that back to the appropriate people.
It's like farm to table for out of home. You're handling the ingredients from point of origination to putting it on the table for the advertiser.
That's a good way to use. I might actually use that. So
take it. It's yours.
All right, I got it. Farm to table out of home. I love it.
Farm to table out of home. There it is. Moments happen.
I love it.
Moments happen on the show. Speaking of moments, talk to me. What's the tie into Pearl Jam?
Oh, I knew this question was going to come.
It had to.
It had to come. So listen, anyone who knows me, obviously, I'm a big fan of the band. I grew up as a kid in the 90s. I grew up in northern New Jersey, where they were pretty big here. The first CD I ever got in summer camp was the 10 CD, and somebody gave it to me, and I literally listened to it all through summer, and I was just blown away. I saw them live, and I just thought that they were the best live band I ever saw, and been following them ever since. When I started the business, I literally submitted about 25 names for the company, and 2 of them came back. They were still available. One of them was my niece at the time's middle name, Maya Media, and the other one was Pearl Media, obviously after Pearl Jam. What we were doing at the time, we were taking, and we still do in the at-home business, we take distressed inventory sometimes and we make it look great. And a pearl comes from a distressed oyster rock in the bottom of the ocean, and I just thought that the two synergies made a lot of sense. And it's been Pearl Media ever since. I've been trying to figure out a way to start Jam Media, but I don't know if that'll go over so well.
And then you buy yourself?
Huh?
Then you buy yourself and merge the two?
Exactly. But yeah, if there's a concert, if Pearl Jam's playing in the Northeast, there's a good chance I'm there. So don't try to hit me up at the time.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I never quite got into Pearl Jam, but I actually had them on. Do you remember mini discs? Do you remember mini discs?
Of course, little guys.
Yeah. A neighbor of mine, he gave me a mini disc player and a mini disc of Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
The only mini.
Listen, I'm not claiming to be that it's the coolest thing or whatever. It's probably pretty cheesy, but everyone has their thing. It's my thing.
I think it's cool.
I'm a big music guy. I go to a lot of concerts. This time I've actually got re-engaged with my guitar again over the last couple of weeks, and been having a lot of fun with that.
Good, good. Well, what else are you working on? Any big projects that we should be keeping an eye out for?
Yeah, we actually are in the. I mean, it's. We had so much momentum going into this period. It's crazy. I mean, our pipeline of opportunity was the best it's been in several years. We have some really big projects that are happening. Big projects. Some of the biggest stuff that we've ever done that's scheduled to happen. That should now is probably going to launch in the middle of next year. Still under some NDA, so I can't talk about it. But we're talking about thousands of square feet of LED. Some in the market near us, some of it in the market on the West Coast that we're really excited about. We have a great project in Nashville, which is a market that we've had our eye on for quite some time. Speaking of music, if you ever go down to Nashville,
I love Nashville.
So Nashville, if you've ever been to Nashville, right on Broadway, right across from the Bridgestone Arena,
Sure.
they built a mixed-use venue, open space venue. They're going to have the first large format digital screens on Broadway, right in that corridor.
Wow.
It has that whole venue. It has a residential tower. It has an office tower. It's going to have great retail, music, food, and it's something that we're really excited about. It's one of the fastest growing markets. What music and entertainment is to what movies and entertainment is to Hollywood, that's what the music business has been for Nashville. Amazon just put one of their biggest distribution centers in the world down there. You have major tenants like Alliance Bernstein who moved their entire office down to Nashville. So there's a lot of cranes in the sky down there, and we're pretty excited. It was supposed to open at the end of the summer, but because of the current market situation, it's now probably going to be a Q1 of 2021, which aligns perfectly with the OAAA conference. So hopefully we'll get involved pretty heavily down there and be able to host some really neat events in that plaza. We've also, through this venue and transit stuff, we've been keeping our eye on some of these big transit RFPs that have been out there, heavily involved in those. Hopefully we'll be get some news here in the next couple of weeks that we might be awarded some of these big contracts. We feel good about it, but you never know. We're trying to right the ship and understand where we're going to be in the next couple of months. And listen, I think it's going to be challenging for all of us, and we all need to understand that. Our landlords have been thankfully extremely understanding, and I think it has a lot to do with the relationships that we've built over the years, the trustworthiness, and how we go about our business, and that we're there for the long term. We need a little help right now, and then we're going to get you back in the back end, and we want to continue to build and evolve. I mean, what I really love about Out of Home is, we're not putting up. From our business, Pearl Media doesn't really put up 14 by 48 roadside bulletins, right? The stuff that we do is custom and it's visionary. There are things that, we think about and we're like, hey, this would be great if we did this, or we can put stuff here and do that. And then to see it actually happen, and then see great brands like Netflix and Apple and those guys want to buy it and use it. There's no gratifying feeling for us, especially as a mid-sized player in this industry, to be able to work with some of these amazing clients on things that we thought of and that people want to spend money against. We love building. We love being creative. We like to be a little bit different. We like to be nimble. I think if you know our team, and we've been all pretty much, the core team has been together for pretty much a decade now. We like what we do. We're passionate about it. We have fun. We enjoy it.
It's cool. I think all those things are super important. Josh, Where can people find you? Where are you most active? What's the best way to learn more about you, learn more about Pearl?
Well, currently, I've been sequestered to my home for the last 8 weeks. So if you want to come knock on my door, I live in northern New Jersey. Obviously, you can come to our website and all of our social channels. I will be the first to admit I'm not like the most active blogger and that sort of guy. I've been trying to get a little bit more involved in that. But, I think all of our social channels, you go to our website, you can obviously, I would hope that to anyone think that they can reach out to me at any time on LinkedIn or some of these other channels, and love having these conversations, whether it's with you or if it's with an AE or other CEOs or presidents. I do not believe in this whole, step on one another to try to get a win. I believe that all the boats rise tide in this industry, and we should all be connected. I have no problem speaking to my competitors or sitting down and brainstorming and talking about different things. And we're going to compete on projects, and we're going to win some and we're going to lose some. And that's okay. That's part of the business. And I think it's more important how you lose than it is how you win, to be honest with you.
Absolutely agree with that. And that's really what the show is born out of, is let's get more for all of us. This is for everybody's benefit. There's enough to go around. We're still, I was watching some stuff getting ready here to talk to you from probably 7 years ago. And we're still talking about, we've got 7% of the market. Like, guys, there's enough money out there up for grabs.
The most frustrating thing is I really felt like right before this industry was on the precipice to really dive in and grab some more of those budgets. Like, we were really doing a really great job from data and digital and tapping into the digital and TV money. And unfortunately, I think we took a couple steps back here. Just no fault to anybody. It's a fault of, the virus and the world that we live in. But I think if we keep at it, we keep pushing it, I think that we can use this as a learning experience to get even better with our data. I do believe that, again, we're the only medium that can't be shut off. The TV, you have thousands of different options and people are pulling plugs. The online stuff is while it's on an uptick right now because we're all online and at home, I still believe that those are extremely difficult to measure. I don't know if I ever, or the last time I ever clicked on an ad on my computer. Never.
That's a great point.
Never. I mean, think about it, or on my cell phone. And then
Sure.
And then does it not creep you out when I just went to Home Depot to look at lounge chairs, and then I go to ESPN and that lounge chair is on the right of right? But we're also getting smarter as an industry, and we're going to start doing a lot of that stuff and understanding a lot of people's behaviors. And we're excited about being part of that change, but also being a part of what I could consider as, the survival mode that our industry is in right now. But we will come out of it. We're going to be great. May 21st, 21. We'll be sitting in Midtown having this conversation, and all the signs around us will be lit up with great creative, with great brands.
You know what? Maybe we can live stream it on some of those signs.
Hey, maybe some of those will be ours.
Maybe so.
Right.
I think the enthusiasm has never been higher. And speaking of the enthusiasm, if you want to get the official I Love Out of Home swag, it's ohswag.com. Yes, I started an e-commerce site to sponsor the show. So owning the ecosystem, I suppose, if you will. But yeah, the enthusiasm's that high, so why not?
You got to give me your address. Because speaking of swag, and I know I'm a bit biased, but I do believe that we have the best swag in the industry.
All right.
Shirts, the softest shirts, sweatshirts, hats. People love them. I mean, I'm going to send you a whole little care package just because I think that you're going to realize how great those things are.
Well, I love good swag, and I was going to say the same to you after I shut off the record button. Stick around. I want to get your address and get you out the first edition hat.
Love to.
Cool.
Love to.
Well, if this has been helpful, you guys have enjoyed it, please share it with somebody else who could benefit. And as always, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Josh.